Hey everybody, this is Dr. Kirk Elliot, and I am in the beautiful mountains of southwestern Colorado, truly God's country. And I wanted to take a moment at the request of my good friend Herschel Peters to address you on some things that are going on, where we've been in 2017 and where we're looking to in 2018, because the world is in crisis. America is in crisis, yet to quote Charles Dickens, it's kind of the best of times and the worst of times, right? And as we see good things happening, the economy is growing. The economy is growing. The stock market's at an all-time high. Jobs are coming back to America because of some of Donald Trump's policies. And I'm going to explain that really quickly, but there's consequences. There's pros and cons to all of this. So real quickly, we've had a strong dollar policy since the Clinton administration. Clinton, Bush, Obama all operated under a strong dollar policy, which simply means, for all of you who have traveled overseas, if we have a strong dollar, your vacation is cheaper because your dollar buys more foreign stuff. And so that actually comes back to imports too. Imports to America are cheaper. Well, we've got to remember one thing. As we buy things from other countries, we're actually diminishing American prominence. But we like it as consumers. We like cheap stuff, right? Yes, we do. And so this is why these presidents for the last 24 years have said, hey, let's basically provide cheap stuff to Americans because they like it. And 70% of everything we consume is an import. So what happens, though, is jobs always follow manufacturing. So as we're buying that cheap stuff from China and Korea and Indonesia and Mexico and everywhere else, jobs are exported out of America. So we're buying imports, we're exporting jobs. So here comes Trump. I'm going to make America great again. I'm going to bring jobs back. How? With a weak dollar policy. That means our currency buys fewer foreign goods, which is actually good. And what's that going to do? It's going to bring jobs back. Why is that going to bring jobs back? Because Trump says, you know what? There's more people in the world than there are in America. That's very good logic there. And so when that happens, and we've got a weak dollar policy, foreign countries, when they're buying U.S. goods, it makes U.S. goods relatively cheaper. So I realize I'm giving you a brain dump here on macroeconomics, but it's very, very important because as foreign goods are going to be more expensive for us with a weak dollar, it takes more of our currency to buy these foreign goods. We're going to have inflation. So Trump's policies are going to grow the economy. They're going to bring jobs back to America. More people working means more companies hiring. More company hiring means more people are going to spend money, and this will grow the economy. But what comes with that is inflation. Well, one thing that Trump inherited that he can't fix, he can't help it, that we as Americans are living biblically uncentered lives and we're in debt up to our eyeballs. You know, Proverbs tells us that a borrower is a slave to the lender. Well, we've got more debt than we've ever had in the history of our country. You know, from 1776 until 2009, when President Obama became president, we went from $0 to $10 trillion on our national debt. From just 2009 until now, we're up to $20 trillion. So in the last 8 years, we've doubled our national debt, which took us over 230 years, basically, to get from 0 to 10 trillion, and then we doubled that in 8 years. Things are out of control. Politicians are out of control on both sides of the aisle. They can't put a cap on the debt ceiling. I mean, we've got problems. And so what Trump is doing to fix the economy, to get Americans working, is going to bring inflation. What comes with inflation? Higher interest rates, because politicians, to slow down inflation, they increase the interest rates. So we've got a problem moving forward. And as believers, as Christians, we have to use biblical wisdom to like the sons of Issachar, to understand the times and know what to do. That's what they did. And that's my prayer for this generation, is we would understand the times and know what to do. Well, how do we do that? Okay, so with higher interest rates means anybody who has debt is going to be squeezed. Everybody living at the margins is going to be squeezed and feel that pressure because they have debt. You know what? If you didn't have any debt, who gives a flip if interest rates are 30%? It wouldn't even matter. It wouldn't even matter because you don't have any debt. So I urge you, get out of debt. But as most of America is in debt up to their eyeballs, what we have to do as a church, as a corporate body, is come to the rescue. Be bold, be courageous, and help those in need. You know, what is the gospel of Jesus? Have no other God before thee, and love your neighbor. You know what? America is at odds, and this is where, you know, the economy is growing. That's kind of the best of times, but the worst of times is we've got class warfare, we've got race warfare, we've got gender warfare. We're at odds with everybody. And you know what? If we could focus on what we have in common rather than what our differences are, oh my word, how much of a better world would this be that we're living in? Love your neighbor. That's the gospel of Jesus. Simply love your neighbor. And so we've got to be strong, we've got to be courageous in 2018 and moving forward, because the culture around us, everything that we're seeing is a physical manifestation of a spiritual battle. There's a war going on in the heavenlies, and we're just seeing the physical manifestations of that. And what God is calling us to do is to be his hands and feet on this earth, love your neighbor, and you know what? If the church would do what the church is supposed to do and give and tithe, we wouldn't have a need for the government to have to raise taxes and have welfare going through the ceiling, and these welfare programs, women, infant, children programs, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, you know, which is about over almost 80% of everything that we bring in as a nation and federal tax revenues now goes out towards entitlements and mandatory payments. 80%. How in the world can the government actually function on the 20% that's left over? You know, I've got videos on this. I've got other training materials that I encourage you to look me up. Look me up on YouTube. Ask Herschel to send you information. All of my information is free. You can have it. I have great training on there on how we can conquer and navigate through the mess that we are in. You know what? We can't help the hand that's dealt us, but once we see the hand that's dealt us, we can operate with wisdom and with courage and with boldness. Like Queen Esther from the Old Testament. You know what? She actually put her life on the line to save her people. That's what we need to do. We have to have such extreme love and operate in that love regardless of our differences with everybody around us. You know, choose differently. Choose to be the hands and feet of Jesus and love your neighbor, and together we can make a difference. We can grow God's kingdom in these days that we're living in. When things seem to be falling apart, you know what? God's promises are amazing. And he has promises of prosperity and victory and health. Jesus came to heal and redeem and to restore what the enemy has stolen. And the enemy is stealing the soul of America from under our noses. So let's not allow that. Let's be God's hands and feet. As the economy erodes around us in certain areas because we're in debt up to our eyeballs, even though President Trump's policies are going to grow the economy and they're going to get people working again, and with that is going to come inflation. And when people are already living at the margins, that's going to be tough. And so people are going to be looking for answers. Let's be those people with answers by giving biblical wisdom to everybody that we know. I look forward to talking to you further. If you have any questions, reach out to Herschel. He can find me. We text each other all the time, and he's an amazing man of God who operates with wisdom beyond his years, because he listens to the Holy Spirit and he has the courage and boldness to act on that. And so I thank you for listening to me. I look forward to speaking with you down the road. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Herschel or reach out to me directly. God bless you. You know, the times are going to be tough moving forward, but we as believers God has given us that courage and that boldness of Queen Esther to rise up and reach our culture, to love our neighbors and make a difference for eternity. God bless you and have a wonderful rest of your weekend here. God bless. Bye-bye.